The amount of stuff I came across in the last few weeks has been mind-blowing. And it looks as if the US is not only a falling empire, but it's happening pretty fast. You know, it's like World War III, we're fighting it right now. We've had worldwide banks collapse over the last couple of months. 5 banks have gone down. More banks will collapse soon. And it might get much, much worse. Now, we hit peak inflation last June. Year-over-year inflation is indeed far down, but when it comes to month-over-month, inflation is rising again. And Vladimir Putin is just chilling along with his counterparts in China and the BRICS nations while they're introducing their new world reserve currency. He's testing for his hypersonic missiles as the Kremlin threatens legitimate world targets. And Saudi Arabia is turning on us. They're strengthening their relationship with China along with the BRICS nations as they remove dollar hegemony. Now, I'm not usually all doom and gloom, but there are quite a few things that are bad out there. Take Iran, for example. Now, Iranian-backed militants have been testing our military. Check this out. Out of 78 attacks in the Middle East on our military since Afghanistan ended, do you know how many times that we actually responded? Dude, under Biden, it's only been 3 times. That's it. We've been attacked 78 times over the last 2 years and only responded 3 of those times. Insurgents think we're a joke, plain and simple. This is embarrassing to our military and our politicians don't care. It's absolutely disgraceful, especially when Iran is violating treaties that we have with them. Consider that in Iran, there are uranium enrichment limitations set by agreement with the International Atomic Energy Agency. And in a recent inspection in Iran, they found uranium that was far too pure for civilian use. That restricted level is 60%. Anything above 60% pure starts to get close to the threshold for making a nuclear bomb, which is 90%. And the International Atomic Energy Agency found uranium enriched at 83.7% pure. And that's only what they found, you know, because the agency doesn't get invited to everywhere in Iran. Not to mention that it might be likely that Israel might actually launch an attack and an offensive against Iran because of this. But the gist of it is that China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Russia are all getting stronger, and people are making the argument that apparently America is getting weaker. China has recently emerged as a key player negotiating a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. But let's not forget the history. Iran used to relentlessly attack Saudi Arabia, and now it's China that's calling the shots for both parties. This marks the first flicker of diplomacy in 7 long years. However, instead of a cause for celebration, it raises concern about shifting power dynamics in the region. The implications of a China-Iran partnership are deeply troubling. Iran, in a bold move, has signed a 25-year agreement with China. The underlying message couldn't be clearer. The United States, once seen as indispensable, is no longer needed. China secures heavily discounted oil while Iran receives investments from its new ally. Yet, let's not overlook the lopsided nature of this arrangement. China seems to be reaping more benefits than Iran, further tilting the scales in favor of this rising superpower. To make matters worse, Russia has swooped in to become Iran's largest investor, amplifying the sense of unease. As we ponder these developments, we can't ignore the fading influence of the United States in this region. Our economic dominance still holds, but our commitment to the Middle East is kind of waning. Our 900 soldiers in Syria and 2,500 in Iraq, battling the remnants of ISIS, find themselves with little to no support from our politicians. The uncertainties loom and the need for decisive action becomes ever more pressing. Now let's confront the unsettling reality of Iran's potential pursuit of nuclear weapons. Is the prospect of attacking Iran's nuclear facilities, disrupting their enrichment program, justifiable? This decision might be covered with grave consequences. Bombing them might inadvertently fuel Iran's defiance, and it will compel them to dig even deeper into fortified bunkers, which are more difficult to hit with conventional strikes. This could enable them to continue their path toward nuclear armament, which would of course escalate tensions to the point of no return. Historically, we've seen that curbing Iran's influence requires strategic regional power play. By forging alliances with neighboring countries such as Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, we could collectively diminish Iran's reach. Yet the diminishing presence in the United States in the region actually limits our ability to shape the power dynamics. We find ourselves at a critical juncture where adaptation and assertiveness is paramount. And how does all of this impact everyday Americans? While the immediate consequences appear to be minimal, the long-term implications are impossible to ignore, especially when it comes to future presidential elections. As Russia, China, and Iran go stronger, the relative power of the United States weakens. And of course, this poses a profound threat to our national interests. It's an ominous reality that demands our unwavering attention. Stay safe out there.